Second oral question, Baroness Pigeon.
I beg leave to ask the question standing in my name on the order paper.
My Lords, my department is already working on a long-term rolling stock and infrastructure strategy which will be the first for over 30 years to give both certainty to the manufacturing and assembly market and to pursue modern standards of carbon-friendly traction and passenger comfort and accessibility.
My Lords, I welcome the work that is underway. Establishing the right industry partnerships is essential to developing a more efficient and cost-effective British railway model. Could the Noble Lord the Minister update the House on the current status of discussions with Eurofema and indicate when British operators might be able to leverage their financial support in the procurement of public service rolling stock?
My Lords, Eurofema is a long-established supranational financial institution established as a joint stock company by an international treaty, the Convention signed by 25 European member states. It's dedicated to financing public passenger railway rolling stock and related infrastructure, as well as the modernisation and renewing of related equipment. As part of developing the rolling stock and infrastructure strategy, my department is exploring a range of financing structures to support investment in partnership with private finance. This includes active engagement with Eurofema to assess how its financing mechanisms could support future investment in the UK rolling stock market. If, following due diligence, Eurofema is considered an appropriate avenue to go down, then we would aim to exceed by the end of 2026.
My Lords, now that the government owns South West Trains, it's inherited about 4,000 trains that were manufactured 4 years ago and haven't actually carried any passengers at all. Can my noble friend tell the House when these trains are likely to enter service?
My noble friend is accurate. 90 trains were procured. Some of them were delivered 5 years ago. At the time that the Southwestern operation reverted to public ownership, 6 out of the 90 were in service. 23 as of today are now in service. The new management are doing what the old one didn't, which is to put the new trains in service and have the old ones taken out of service and scrapped. The rest of them will be introduced as fast as the drivers can be trained, which will take a little time because that hadn't been done either.
Lords, before the election last year, we published a rolling stock pipeline so that the industry was aware of not just the trains the Department for Transport wished to procure, but the fact that they had Treasury funding, which I hope has been a useful foundation for the work that the Noble Lord the Minister is doing on the rolling stock strategy. Given that foundation that was put in place, is he able to add to the answer he gave to the Noble Lady and indicate to the House a time frame when he wishes to publish that rolling stock strategy for the competitive rolling stock industry that we established over the last decade or so?
The Noble Lord's recollection of what happened in his term of office might be quite good, but the fact is that the industry doesn't have much regard for what was published at the end of the term of the previous government and is actively and interestedly waiting for something which relates to a real future which is related to the age of the rolling stock and future usage. There are currently already 3 live procurements in the market for rolling stock, which will be referred to in the publication of the rolling stock and infrastructure strategy, which I expect to be next summer.
My Lords, in the North East we rejoice at the success of the reinstated Northumberland line linking Ashington to Newcastle, which has seen over 700,000 journeys since the line was reopened last December. But, my Lords, this particular route struggles with a lack of carriages because they'd like to put more trains on. So can I ask the Noble Lord the Minister whether the strategy will seek to prioritise regions in our country which have traditionally been underinvested in, so to fast forward economic growth that the government so desires?
If that's an answer, I'll sit and listen to it. The Right Reverend Prelate is correct that the new line to Ashington is a success. Northern Trains are resolving to put additional rolling stock on those trains now. They are able to do that at certain times of the day. But one of the procurements that I referred to is for 464 vehicles for Northern, which replaces a large and elderly fleet of existing diesel trains over the next several years. And that will result in enough rolling stock to satisfactorily serve demand on the Ashington line and indeed on other routes.
Can my noble friend tell me how adversely the rolling stock strategy has been affected by the cancellation of the Crewe and the Manchester legs of HS2?
So the abrupt cancellation of Phase 2A of HS2 does necessitate thinking through again the rolling stock strategy for the whole of HS2. It's one of the one of a number of really enormous issues that the new Chief Executive and new Chair of the Board of HS2 are grappling with, because it's about time that both the government and the country knew how much had been done for the money that's currently being spent, how long the project will now take to deliver, and how much it will cost. And we don't know any of those things currently.
My apologies, old habits die hard. Currently, as the Minister said, there are 3 rolling stock procurements underway for South Eastern, Trans-Pennine Express and Northern. But how will the government ensure that there are no further delays to procuring new train fleets? Because these are essential to replace thousands of old trains, some over 40 years old. And frankly, they're rapidly approaching the end of their operating life, which could lead to a major crisis.
The Noble Baroness is right that there are a lot of old vehicles. The average age of vehicles on the national network is 17 years. There are 12,000 vehicles across 14 operators, and it is essential that we plan for the future, if only because several thousand jobs in the manufacturing plant in Derby, the assembly plants at Newton Aycliffe, Goole and Newport, Monmouthshire, all depend on this, as does, as she's right to say, passenger comfort and reliability of rolling stock that's reached the end of its normal life.
My Lords, when the government nationalised train operating companies, it said one of the advantages was that they would no longer be paying fees to the private sector. Has the government carried out, or does it intend to carry out, an assessment of the value for money to the taxpayer of continuing to finance rolling stock through the use of Roscoes in the private sector?
The government's policy is to continue to use the private sector to supply rolling stock to the British railway market. That's been quite clear since the manifesto before the election, and nothing has changed. I do think that it's likely that the cost of rolling stock will be better than it has been. It's simply because the life of the rolling stock has been uncertain, but not sufficiently to diminish the risk taken by those companies, which is why they exist and why they should make a profit.
I hear in the Noble Lord the Minister's opening statement a promise, a guarantee, that the rolling stock strategy will actually address the issues of decarbonisation and the reduction in fossil fuel use.
The Noble Baroness is right. It will indeed. The reason it's entitled the Rolling Stock and Infrastructure Strategy is that with modern technology, including mainly batteries, for the first time we can look at bi- and tri-mode vehicles, and of course that is exactly what we need to do. In fact, there are very few manufacturers now making diesel-only trains because it's recognised that we need to be carbon neutral in the future. So this strategy will indeed address those issues that she refers to.
How does the rolling stock strategy interact with the strategy with regard to the personnel who will be driving those trains, with regard to their pay and their training, and making sure we have the adequate people to be able to do it on weekends?
Well, the Noble Lord is right that you certainly need staff to drive the trains, and in many cases, but not all, you need conductors. I don't think the rolling stock and infrastructure strategy deals with that directly, But of course he's absolutely right that one of the critical things to establish reliability on the railways is sufficient staff to drive the trains, and in particular on Sundays, at least on some routes. One of the things that has been done since this government got elected, one of the input measures that I seek to see both this year and for future years in the business plans of operating companies, is an increase in the number of drivers so that there aren't cancellations and there are reliable Sunday services.